We have a spectacular evening today, but we're going to get started with our host, Keisha, and all that's going to tell us about that.
Thank you very much. Hi. It's just 6 slides. Hi everyone, my name is Olga. I work at Fusion, so this is Fusion. We are a global catalyst for corporate innovation and startup acceleration. As you may guess by the title, we are an accelerator and a global innovation platform in Switzerland. Our mission is to supercharge innovators. And we enable world-leading organizations to help them. We have 3 verticals, which are fintech, with financial technologies, so anything that you can imagine that has to do with applying technology to finance. Then we have PropTech, which is anything that is property technologies, so drones, construction, if you know solar roads, that would be part of that as well. Robotics, or even houses that can be printed in 3D. And then we also have life tech, which is everything that is biotech, medtech, improving people's lives, and also health, wellness, digital health, brain tech, implants that you can put on brains, and a lot of cool, weird stuff. So these are our partners. We are very happy to have them. And don't hesitate to follow us on social media. Yay!
Wow, that was great. So, thank you. And this is, so again, welcome to Blockchain4GoodRocks. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, this is our handle. I just wanted to, very quickly, before we go on to our agenda today, which is our guests, just wanted to tell you briefly what's really driving all this, what's really driving this sort of platform, this sort of networking. I'm very proud to be part of this and Blockchain4Humanity. And I just want to tell you very quickly about these 2 things. Has anybody seen Give before or heard about Give? Yeah. Yay! So I just wanted to mention that these 2 things are conforming what we are building today, which is a community that is really focusing on using blockchain technology for positive impact, for impact that really goes beyond just the shareholder value, for impact that actually does something for humanity overall. So I wanted to tell you 2 things about Blockchain4Humanity. This is an initiative that just came up recently, last December in fact. We asked around and we asked people, do you have a project that you consider has some kind of a positive change or positive impact that you want to share with us that's actually using the blockchain technology? And we were surprised to receive 26 projects saying, yes, we do. We actually are here, we're trying to use the technology, and we think that we can make such great things happening around the world. So we quickly started kind of categorizing them and looking at where were these projects coming from, what would they do? Human aid, financial inclusion, social inclusion, governance, health, social accountability, philanthropy, education, community development, and it was just encouraging and energizing to see where all this is going. So we decided to go deeper and find out, what are these projects? At what stage are they in right now? And we had, kind of a little bit of everything, mostly on proof of concept and prototype. And one of the things that we did discover is that going to the next step of development is very difficult for ourselves because mostly nobody knows it. So we wanted to create an award that allows at least to help a little bit with some of the expenses that they have and maybe push them a little bit to that next step of development. So we had an award and we had some nominees, and at this event we were very lucky to find really good candidates that we actually recognized for the stuff that they're doing, for all the work that they're doing in this but also the ones that we call the dreamers. And this is why, you know, we're all here together and EthicHub is here, because we found people that as well, projects that are so innovative and that we know for sure are going to be able to make that vision of making the world a better place to live. So that's very quickly on Blockchain for Humanity. On the Give Us side, we are a platform that allows any person, any group of people, any community, any organization, any charity to create campaigns and simply fundraise in a way that people will know, the donors will know where the money is at all times. So we want to make sure that we are empowering people who enable these donations, who actually bring these donations. So our platform is comprised of a number of smart contracts that create a very robust governance system. I won't go into the specifics of this because then I will take too long for that, but I will definitely can tell you all about it when we go after this, after the presentations. So just to leave you with one word about Give It. Give It is what you make of it. So we have completely done an open source, completely free project. There's no, we're not trying to commercialize this at all. We're actually encouraging people to take our code and do it themselves. Or come to our platform if you want to create your own organization, your own charity. Just come and do it with us if you like to, or take our code and do it any way you want. But we want to be able to make Give It your own as well. So that's it for Blockchain for Humanities and for Give It. And now I am very, very pleased to announce our next guest. There we are.
Okay, good evening. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Grace, and thank you, Blockchain4GoodRocks, for inviting me. I'm Gabriela Chang. I work with EthicHub. Recently awarded Best Financial Inclusion Project. I'm reading about it, and I'm sorry, I have to tell it many times. So, they invite me to present my meetup that is called Women in Blockchain. And so we are looking for women interested in blockchain to exchange point of view, to talk, to learn about it, to discuss. And this initiative came out from where this idea come from. Well, it's very simple. I'm the only female in a team of 14 guys. So it's as simple as that. Like, guys, do you think we need more girls? It's gonna be nicer, more balanced, and that. So it was as easy as that. I was thinking, we need women. Okay, let's convoke them to come. And it was just like opening a door and they getting in. It was very simple. But I know that this is only possible because I live in a first world country. I don't intend to make to suppose that this is as easy to every woman in the rest of the world. Okay, this has been my way, and it's been a very easy one, and I'm proud of what we got here. But let's be conscious about the problems of it. Okay, so as a supporters of the open source philosophy, we think of sharing is part of growing. So since the community has given us so much, we want to give back some in the way of information about what blockchain is and what is can be used for. So of course this is a free, inclusive project, and men and women are welcome as well. Okay, I think true revolution is happening right now with this technology, and I want to think that we are in the same stage as internet before, when it was only the @ sign and people thought it was only good for email. So it's not. Blockchain goes beyond cryptocurrencies, and this is amazing what is going on with this virtual money and what can be done with it. But I think blockchain goes way beyond that, and so we are inviting the people to take it as a seed, to plant it in productive and good soils, and see what else can be grown out of it. So the scheme of these meetups, it's a 15 minutes introduction, I think the success of this initiative comes also from our claim. It's, we say it as a joke, it's introduction to the basic concepts of blockchain. You see, it is a word that takes back people sometimes. They think they need to have technological knowledge to approach these meetups, and it is not so. It's 15 minutes introduction, 30 minutes expert talk. This is someone I invite to talk about this, and 40 minutes after talk for questions and answers. And it's been very interesting. I would like to share this. The kind of questions, the men who attend this, my team and some very representative people in Spain about blockchain, they've noticed something interesting. The kind of questions women pose are a bit different than men's. Men are very interested into Bitcoin, how to invest, what are the risks of the financial system and this and that. And women would say, how does it work? Can you explain how you compress all the information and fit it all in one place? Kind of encouraging dialogue. And it's very interesting because they keep talking like we invite people with a very high technological level to be part of the meetup. And in this question and answer dialogue tends to be like an interaction of the people attending the meetup. So my first guest was Sandra Becker. She's an expert of curricular economics and visualization, data visualization. And she spoke about from money to the token, and something fun about crypto ladies. And she said something very interesting, that maybe, just maybe, in the financial world, there's also this concept of more men than women. And just maybe, because of an evolutionary reasons, it's said that women tend to be more adverse to risk than men. So, it's possible that if the financial world would be more balanced, maybe men wouldn't take on these disastrous decisions that lead us to the big crisis, economical crisis we have. Would it be possible if women would be there in the teams saying, when they say, okay, let's go jump the cliff, maybe they would say, oh, wait, let's think a bit about it. Let's give it a second thought. So it's a possible, maybe, a possibility. So we think we want to, blockchain works this way, more balanced, introducing all the people, taking in account all of these people. Our second guest was Covadonga Fernandez from Blockchain Observatory. She's a writer and a journalist, and she talked about use cases of media. Okay, maybe many of you understand a lot about blockchain, but I'm going to explain you what's the kind of explanation I do. So maybe this will help you to explain others the basics of blockchain. It's going to be very brief. So, the learning attitude. Start for a question. Once you get the answer to that question, and this sets well into you, you understand it, it will give place to another question. So little by little, step by step, you will reaffirm your knowledge. And this is, I think, the spirit of learning, asking. And this wonderful ecosystem has this quality. People, which is, they call it cypherpunks and all this philosophy, it's very open to share what they know. So keep asking in the meetings and you will find answers. That's been my experience. So I start saying, build a very simple but complete structure. So it's like if I wanted to explain the human body, this is the equivalent to say, well, let's build it with little sticks and a circle. And then you would add layers of information, little by little. But it's not, because it's very difficult to put all the agents that explain blockchain and explain them all at once. So little by little. So if questions arise later on, my whole team back me up, so you can send your question if you think on the way back home. You can always have a chance to get an answer. Okay, so the explanation is, what is blockchain? A database, replicated and distributed. Not all people gets clear that there are many types of database, so it's important to explain. It's not all database. This is immutable database that is constantly updated. So the example I put is, it's like the library card. it says everything about the book, a full description and where exactly it is located, but it's not the book itself. So, replicated. Once the data is scrubbed, it can be modified. And the stored copies are replicas. That means identical. So, distributed. In order to explain this, we have to explain the opposite concept, which is centralized, as nowadays the internet is. All the information is in a server, and distributed means every node has the information replicated. So this is the centralized one. When we speak in the cloud, it sounds like airy and I don't know, it's a different concept. But in reality, it means the servers in a big warehouse, and they are prone to physical damage, say floods, fires, wars, or technological one like hackers. While if you got it distributed, even when physical damage would occur in one part of the net, the rest will have the complete information saved. So, one of the common questions is, how is it possible that all the information fits in one computer? And it's come to cryptography, a hash. I won't explain mine in advance. It's a simple thing, like the message. We convert to a code, it's called hashing, to a code made out of 16 letters and numbers. And for this process, if you write Hamlet, you will get this hash. If you write Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, you will get the same length. And if you change only a capital letter, or a comma, or a space, it will render a quite different code. But if you take Shakespeare's complete work, it will also get reduced to the same length. So this is how we compress. And this is how it can all fit in one computer. Think about books. How many books could fit in your computer? Because it's not the process, it's only these text lines. So keep the hashes in mind. The chain blocks. How does it work? Imagine in every block, there is all these layers of hashes. All of them together produce a last one of all of them combined. And that one says like a sandwich. You would take that top to be the first one of the next block. And once all the transactions fill the block and you get a new hash from all of them, that's a cover, you take it to the next one. So that's why they are mathematically linked. And if you want to change, as I explained before, a comma, a space, only one word, or the quantity of the amount written in the contract, it would modify absolutely the hash, modifying the whole block. And that won't be possible, because you would have to be able to do it in every single node of the net at the same time. Impossible. So after this, they say, well, now you can read a definition from the book and you will be able to understand it because it won't look as technical as before. Okay, a paradigm change in security. With the internet, we used to protect the information, hiding it under layers of security, under 7 locks, as we say. But with blockchain, it's just the opposite. We keep it safe by exposing it instead of hiding it. It's on the view of everybody. So if you would intend to tamper with the codes and change it, they are open and everybody can see this. It's public information, so it wouldn't be. And for example, when you do a transaction, it's open. You can get in, for example, for Ethereum, you write etherscan.io, and you write a number account, and you can check all the transactions. You can write our number, you will see your own number. If you know the number of the person interested to look on, it's there. It's a public information. So, blockchain, the history. The first blockchain was Bitcoin and was built to support the Bitcoin's money, virtual money. Because of this open source thing, everything is practically copy and paste. So there are many blockchains, but the second blockchain that issued a really relevant difference was Ethereum, that has the smart contracts who could be inserted into the blockchain. But this world moves so fast. Last December, Bitcoin made a different code. It's called RSKey, and it also can hold smart contracts. So, I'm finishing. The big difference between blockchain and internet. With internet, you can share a picture. If you send it, all of your friends have it, and you still have it. If you have a book, say an iBook, and you give it to others, you transmit it. And this way, you replicate it, and the owner, the artist, or whoever created the book doesn't get the part that it belongs to this person. But with blockchain, you would transfer what you have. This is value. If you have a file, a picture, and a work of art, and you send it to other person, a digital item, and you send it, you don't have it anymore. It's not in your computer, it's in the other computer. So that is transferring, and that's what we call value. Call it cryptocurrencies, or art, or pictures. So, power to imagination. My invitation is for you to try to think what internet can be, what blockchain can be used beyond the cryptocurrencies. We are living the equivalent to the 90s, when people thought internet was only for saving you the way to the post office, and see what we have in our phones now, or smartphones. I mean, my father is 85, and he can use WhatsApp as if he was born with it. You don't need to understand the technology underlying it to use it. That will happen also with blockchain. So, today I attend a conference and I learned something very important, disturbing, about the possibility of the uses. It's an identity I mean, it was shocking. I learned that the average stay in a refugees camp is 17 years. That means babies are born there. Imagine how terrible it is to lose your identity, your qualifications, and start from zero. What if blockchain could save your records and you don't get your personal story erased? Because they have to struggle every day to prove who they are and to prove they have the qualifications, etc. It's like losing everything. So I think the applications can be very, very positive. And, okay, as I say, we think we have to give back in the way of education and the introduction to the blockchain concepts. And I know we have some investors here, so I kindly invite you to get close to EthicHub and take a look at our project. And we have a pre-sale open, so any contributions are welcome. Thank you very much. That's it.
Hello. This is you already spoke about the blockchain for humanity, but I will also speak about blockchain for good rocks. We are very proud to be here. Thank you very much, Grace, for inviting me, and also Emily. Because we are very aligned with this. We always say technology is not good or bad by itself. It's the use that humans make of technology that deliver positive or negative outcomes. I mean, with internet, internet were used to build porn, chill, pornography marketplace, and also to build Wikipedia. So, just to put the most opposite examples. With blockchain will be the same. It depends what use we will make with this, and we have to be very conscious about the power of this technology to change the world. So please, we can make this change to be for better. And EthicHub is about people like Miguel. He's a coffee grower back in Chiapas, Mexico, where I am from, my mother is from. And he's an unbanked, and so he doesn't have access to the bank's credit. So he has to ask for cash loans in his local community. And these cash loans is normally over 100% interest rates, and he pays. And there is no record that he's a good payer, a good borrower, and he has already paid for years these huge interest rates. And he's only one of the over 2 billion people in this situation. And most of them are agricultural producers that are our target. On the other hand, there are you, European people or American or Japanese or people with savings in the bank. I'm pretty sure you have some savings in some banks around, and you have even to pay to keep your savings safe. So wouldn't it be more logical that instead of keeping your savings in the bank, you lend your money to Miguel, and so he can pay, he pays much less interest and you earn much more than you are earning nowadays. Of course, I have to demonstrate that this can be possible and you trust in this possibility. So I will put you an introductory video to EthicHub, so you can understand better.
The money in the world. That's why you get so little from your own money. Where there is not enough money to work, that's why you have to eat for the available money. It is not enough to lend it to everyone. What if money could freely be traveled around the world? Average European investor has access to low return investments and must let others decide what his money is going to be used for. In addition to high transferring costs, there are legal and bureaucratic barriers for his money to be invested overseas. Small coffee growers in Mexico have a profitable activity, but since they are not bank credit subjects, they only have access to small local cash loans at very high interest rates. EthicHub makes global financial connections easier and cheaper, creating value for both parties. Higher returns for the investor and lower rate loans for small producers. Our local node personally knows producers, so he can evaluate if requested loan fits the need. He will assist them to integrate the group, and acting as a collective, they will apply for a loan. Now all these investment opportunities are available for you. For investors who care about the impact of their money, but also want good return on their savings. Finally, helping becomes profitable.
Sorry, 1 second.
Help on the way.
Yeah. Okay. So, EthicHub, our mission is to democratize access to credit, but also to raise investment opportunities and doing and humanizing the credit sector while at the same time. Our values are equal opportunities, community, because at the end a token only has value if it has people who support the project and buy the token. So that's why we always say that we are changing, blockchain will change economic to, from capital economics to community economics. And trust, because if I have to convince you to lend your money to Miguel, everything is about building trust between you two. And this blockchain can help to build this trust because it's inherent transparency and immutability, but also because of the smart contracts that allows direct transactions between you and Miguel with no single middleman, not even us. And also a smart contract allows to make a decentralized warranty fund, decentralized insurance, reputation tokens, and governance tokens. Because at the end, we want this to become a truly decentralized, autonomous organization with the governance coming from the users, not the token holders. Crowdfunding, and especially crowd lending, were growing exponentially before blockchain. and it was expected to continue growing over 50% annually. But with blockchain, this growth can be much higher because the ability to break the borders of the money, and also because the capacity to integrate these 2 billion people in the global economy and in this ecosystem. This global crowd lending, up to now only Kiva was doing this more or less successfully. And in Kiva, borrowers have to pay between 35 to 40% interest rates because at the end, Kiva is using fiat money and no smart contracts, and it has a costly organization to search for the products, for the projects. So we want to blockchainize Kiva model with some difference, and this is the others blockchain projects for crowd lending. The first one, EthicHub, Sub Lending, Coin Loan, they are trying to make loans collateralized with tokens. And Ripio, Fintrux, Lendui, Debitum, and some others are trying to make loans with no collateral, but data scoring. And both things will work, and we all together will make a big change in the global financial system. But none of these projects at the end works for the unbanked people that doesn't have tokens and doesn't also have data enough to make a solvent credit scoring. So we propose the local node, to have a local node who make the scoring to search for the people. This is Pablo, our co-founder. He has already worked over 20 years in the field with small agricultural producers, and he has helped over 8,000 people to get loans funded in the past. And we have built together a great team, and we are already 9 full-time people believing in this project, working for this project for months with no salary, just for the tokens that we will have in the future. We will keep 20% of the tokens for the team. And we together have built a more or less big community, but especially a supportive community, and with zero marketing budget, just going to meetups like this one. This is the first time we go out of Spain. We have been making meetups in Spain and spreading our word. And so we are now making our pre-sale. This is what we call ethical token sale. It's like rethinking how this should be done. And for example, we think we propose to make at least 4 token sales instead of 1, because as in traditional startups, we don't know if at the end we will be successful. So it doesn't have sense to get 20 millions if at the end you don't succeed. Normally, in a startup, you get funded with $500,000 and more 1 million. And this is what we are asking for to make our minimum viable product. And then if we are success, we make the second or the first ICO. And with this money, we scale up and make a third one where we are fully operational and with metrics. So in this way, we think we can get much more funding also. Because the other thing, I do not fully agree with the system as it is today, is that you sell all your tokens now, maybe you get 10 million, 20 million, so you are very happy. you have a bad incentive to continue working because you don't need to get funded next year with what you have done in 1 year. And but if you are successful, in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, you will need a lot of money. Startups, the big startups have, Google, Facebook, what it used to be startups, Amazon, Airbnb, Uber or whatever, had to get funded for over hundreds, even thousands of millions. So how will you get this over hundreds and thousands of millions if you have sold all your tokens in the first year? So that's why we think you have to make several token sales. And this is only one example. Or another example of Ethic token sale, you can read in our website what is our token paper about how to make this Ethic token sale. Is to deliver the tokens gradually. So investors who bought with a huge discount are incentivized to don't sell at the beginning because they will devaluate the tokens that they will get in the future. And some other good practices that we have, we think every project will have to implement in the future. So I hope you like our project, and also I hope I will convince you to participate in our pre-sale so you can help us make a big change. Thank you very much for inviting me. And I'm very happy to for your questions, please.
Yes. So, should we hear some questions?
Yes, you say that you don't have any intermediaries, but yet you have someone in the field working as an intermediary. Can you
Something like that. Yes.
We don't have financial intermediaries. Of course, there's someone to filter what kind of projects can come up to the platform. Everybody can participate as an investor, but not any project can get into the platform because we have to make sure that you have this default rate lower than 3%. That's why there's this kind of a filter. Other platforms use it with, conduct it with data. We do it with a person. But when we mean peer-to-peer without intermediaries, we're talking about financial thing. You put your money into the platform and it goes through the smart contract to the borrower directly. The money doesn't go through our hands. So we are not asking your money for we to give it to someone else. It's the straight relation, a financial relation. Does that answer?
Yeah, I have another question.
Yeah, yes.
Is your token a security token or a utility token?
No, it's a utility token. Do you want to say?
Yeah, our idea, and I also put that in the token paper, is most of the tokens of the projects, this is a startup at the end. This is theoretical thing, and we are pretty sure when we implement the project in the real world, we have to make many changes. Today I was speaking with Enrique Melero. He was also recommending to rethink the token model. Our idea nowadays is to this token to be the access to the platform, basically. So it's a fully utility token.
I have a question on the unbanked credit score ratings that for someone who has no history, how can you listen to, let's say, an investor profile for someone who wants to invest in an individual, like let's say Pablo with a coffee? How can I see the ratings?
There will be on the platform displayed. We have a range from 0 to 10. And a project, once the local node approves it, start with 5 stars. And since when they pay back, it increases. So this way we say we make an asset out of the reputation of the trust, because the rating increases in the way they pay. And it also increases the local node rating, because they are related. Let's say if they wouldn't pay, the smart contract would burn part of these reputation tokens, or all of them, depending on the situation, and it will reflect also proportionally in the local node's reputation. This way we align the interest. He won't recommend to the platform, say, his cousins, that maybe one page is like a scam. He wouldn't, because this would affect directly him, his rating, and thus the investors not choosing him to his projects. You know, when you will open our platform, you will see displayed different options of investing with different rates. The top is 15, but I will explain why they can be even lower. And so you will choose according to this rating. And the rating is done because of these metrics that the person in field checking that the amount of coffee they're able to produce is related to the land, and it exists, and they check the identity. All the metrics usually carried on by data or by other systems. Is that the answer you need?
Yes, it does actually answer.
You mentioned the reputation token. What is that? You have two tokens, one reputation token?
Well, the utility token, the ethics, that's one we are selling, like in advance buying of a service, let's say. That's for the use of the platform. But reputation, those are transferable. I mean, you buy them, you lend them, you sell it in exchange later. But reputation tokens cannot be sold by itself, his proper qualities. You can't sell reputation. That's linked to the contract, to the identity of the person. The record we are generating, it's linked to that. So it's not a token on sale.
And then there is a third token in the platform, that is the governance tokens, that we deliver governance to the lenders when they lend their tokens, to the borrowers when they pay back their tokens, and to the local nodes based on the success, history success, and also to the contributors of the project, we as the team and all the people that will help us to promote the project.
To the users, not to the holders of the... To the users, it means people who use the tokens to interact. If you just buy them to help them, you won't have governance tokens, because as a user, we want to transfer the control of the system to the real owners. That's the users of the platform. So these tokens are generated only by using the ethics, not by holding them.
So the token has a market value?
It will have. Now, the first pre-sale, we won't even issue them. It's just a pre-sale. That's why the price is so low, because we are selling you an idea, a white paper. It's not just a project. But with this first money, we will build the prototype, and then for the first ICO sale, we will present a working project. And at that moment, once the token is issued, you can talk with an exchange to have it on sale, say. So for the third and fourth sales, the price will be settled by the market.
So, if I understand correctly, you use the governance tokens as an incentive for people to actually use the tokens rather than hold them, so that they don't artificially go up in value just because they become scarce because people are holding them. But what is the value of the governance token? If I have a governance token, what good is it?
Okay. It's how do you call the other one that was mentioned, utility?
Securities.
Security tokens, its actions would give you this governance. That means, like, if you are on the board of the company, you take decisions because you buy part of the company. That's what governance is. Decisions on where the company is going, on like managing the company. And right now, Lending Dev, which is the company that is like on earth to promoting this project, the intention is for EthicHub to be a decentralized organization. So nobody is managing it but the users. We like put it to float into the ecosystem, and it will work by itself because smart contracts are already written and they are programmed to reduce, for example, the cost of the exchange. When they get lower, it will lower them automatically. So it's like It's a change of paradigm. It doesn't work as anything else we know now. It is possible only because of blockchain, that the contracts are written and you can't alter the conditions. So you can be sure they will keep working that way without surveillance of external people. At the beginning, of course not. We have to walk it to this independence, but it will get there. So governance is like the last milestone of it.
It's,
in my personal view, you might want to think about additional value for your governance tokens, because I can tell you, I have an account at Crédit Mutuel in France, and so I own, it's a cooperative, so it's similar. I own, so many governance tokens in Crédit Mutuel, but it's useless, because there are so many owners. If I own, 100 tokens out of 1 million or 5 million in Crédit Mutuel, I have absolutely no say-so. So it's not fiche that I have, but I don't care. So if you want people to not hoard their tokens and to spend them, then you have to give them something that they will care about.
Can you repeat it? Well, yes, I do agree, but I think governance and blockchain is something very disruptive, often also as a super interesting discussion is about governance and how blockchain will affect governance, because it will permit to much liquid governance, much more automatic governance, that you believe in some, okay, I have just some shares in this bank or in this company, so I don't matter at all because I don't have many rights, but it will, with blockchain it's much easier to delegate. Yeah, the representation, for example. Yes?
Most people don't care. We've seen that with Ethereum when it split, so the DAO, right?
Yeah.
There was an existential crisis for Ethereum. There were only early adopters, and even then, like not even 10% of the tokens, not even the people, voted. And then you have a very complicated problem. Should I vote according to the amount of tokens I have? Should I be one guy, but I don't want to be identified? There's very complicated problems. And these are to be solved separately. I mean, Tezos is trying to do something with governance built in. And also it puts a very added complexity in your project, is that you have a utility token and you have a security token.
So the governance is planned for, first we're going to launch the project, we're going to make it work, we're going to identify the points that actually need governance, and then we will model it. We'll just, this is way in the future. We haven't done the big white paper, I think. We understand it's a complex issue. Maybe we will be able to spend the governance tokens using another blockchain solution for voting. We don't know yet about this. First, we're going to establish our project, the lending part, and then we will get there. Also, maybe for it will be very important for the people actually asking for the money, because they are the ones that will know how the credit affects them. So we will try to give it both ways. I'm explaining myself. This is a very interesting discussion. If you have any ideas, maybe we can talk later about that too.
Yes, I mean, I tend to agree with the comment on this lady front. It's not because you have governance that it is good governance. You may have a governance which is basically not replicating and basically representing and protecting the assets of anyone or any of the parties. Today, for instance, you can be a shareholder, and then you have basically, like you own part of a company, and then you have a board that basically drives the company and in a way representing your interests. Sometimes a good board or bad board, that's one thing. Then you get as well, get inspired by, what's just known in the past as liquid democracy, where basically you can decide how the company can go. I'm not really convinced, and to be honest, I'm a bit skeptical, a bit scared when you say that you want to have something which is very transparent, but you don't have clear ideas about the governance. That's why you don't mention as well the issues about cross-border money transfer. Let's say, taxes, liabilities, if someone is not refunding, reimbursing. Do you lose your assets? Who is liable? Who's paying back? Do you have any collaterals? And as the gentleman said before, how can you basically rank or give a rate on unbanked people? So it was not very clear. Are you giving personal loans or loans to basically,
sorry.
hold on, I'm not finished, owners of the land? So how do you compete with microfinance institutions? Just try to understand how you position yourself and how you basically package everything.
Can I answer this? Because there are many
Yeah, but it's
questions
all
there.
related.
So you can ask the technical ones. Okay. Microfinancial institutions are not reaching the unbanked. It's too expensive for them.
It's not true. There is many projects.
Yes, there are microcredits, but people who is not available to reach an ATM.
It's not true. Absolutely not true. I can discuss offline, but you have projects where basically some groups are giving basically cards free of charge to those guys.
We were in Mexico, the place we know.
Yeah, fine.
Where
So just talking about Mexico, that's not a general case. I'm not saying that is not true.
Yeah, we're going to base Pablo, the guy you saw before. He has experience financing agricultural communities for 20 years. The model is there's cooperative loans between 20 families,
Right.
and right now the model they have for scoring is basically offline. They know each other.
Sure.
So those are solidarity loans. I think if they cover each other, they spread the risk between all the communities. And we just want to port that model that is working offline for 20 years to the world, basically.
I understand, but I think that what you say is a major difference. When you're in a community, you know more or less, who are people around you, if they are serious, this kind of thing. So basically, in a way, although they are unbanked, you know if they may refund you, the way they live, the way they work, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I have to lend money to anyone here, well, why should I do that? I'm okay to do that, but I want to have someone who's liable. If you recommend me someone, you see what I mean? I'm not against the principle, I think it's great, but just trying to understand.
Questions help us explain the
Yeah.
project,
Sure.
and sometimes if you wouldn't have it at the beginning, for example,
Right.
all these questions enrich the project and make it better. So I think now we have lots of answers. Let's hope we have all of them.
The liability at the end is for sure. There is a signed contract and locally legal in the legislation of the borrower. So he really has a debt. But if he defaults in the loan repayment, we have made this. We propose this decentralized guarantee fund. Every borrower has to put 3% for asking for a loan of 100%. So, because in the spirit of Pablo, there is less of 3% default rate. Also in the experience of Kiva that I showed before. And this way, you are more or less covered. For sure, there is a risk still that it becomes a plague, or a disease or a hurricane or whatever, and the default rate increases sharply. So this guarantee fund doesn't work in that situation. But the idea at the end is that you are covered by this warranty fund, and this warranty fund, this is also a future development, will analyze what happened. If it was a hurricane, there is a reason, because we don't, or just he went party with the money or whatever, no? Because we don't want people to lose their basic income capacities. No?
That's called. We buy the debt to make ethical recovery of it. The smart contract will pay you the principal, cover up to this 3%, and you'll get the debt. So we try to recover it because maybe you couldn't pay that month and it's going to pay 1 week later, but the smart contract has a date on it and it cannot be changed. So we wouldn't make the investor to wait. And on this ethical recovery of the debt, we will examine the situation, and maybe he will pay later or part of it. So we will try to recover it, but never ripping off the producer of his basic means of live. That's it.
Maybe just one basic question, just to go back to the beginning, to better understand why you think that what you're trying to solve needs blockchain. Is there any, I mean, just to understand really where is the smart contract, because this, what you're mentioning, seems to be already existing, just not for the unbanked, or actually there are solutions already, projects around unbanked as well, but just why is the smart contract referred to what we currently use?
Because fiat transferring from one country to another, nowadays it's very expensive. So the money will travel and cryptocurrency as the token. The token is the means of transportation of fiat from euros to pesos, for example. That's why. And the smart contract is for decentralized and trust. It's not a bank. It's not a person saying you invest and you should get the money. It's something you can consult on the web, that it's open. You can see your contract. You can see the transaction done, and it's registered. That's what blockchain is good for. This business model already exists in Mexico, but it was domestic. It was not possible to bring international money to Mexico with this, yes, but with very high cost that at the end the borrower has to pay. Cuba is a wonderful example. They are doing great. They are bringing money to productive projects, but they have to pay over 40%, even when the lender doesn't get money. It's altruist. Not a donation, but you lend 100 and you get 100 back, no interest for you. But even so, the lender, the borrower has to pay over 40% of interest because it's carried on fiat.
So is it mainly, I mean, okay, I think I at the beginning, but where do you see is the difference in the money transfer? Is it to go around the translation to reduce the cost, or can it not be done, let's say, with some apps that are coming like Revolut, or because if you put another currency, which is a token between two, let's say, foreign currencies, whereas the pesos, let's say there's the Swiss francs, you have two currencies. You have one currency risk with Swiss francs to the token, and another currency risk with on the other side.
Yes, partially. I mean, the loan is denominated in Mexican pesos if you are lending to a Mexican agricultural producer. So you are assuming as investor the exchange risk from your fiat money or your representation of money. Could be francs, or could be euro, or could be yens, or could be dollars, or could be pesos, because maybe you investor are Mexican also. So you are not assuming a fiat currency risk. The crypto risk, you also cannot not have this risk. The other you have. The crypto exchange risk, the day you receive back your tokens, you convert it to euro in that exactly money, or you lend it back again, you are not assuming a exchange risk in the cryptocurrency, because the cryptocurrency, from our point of view, is only a way of moving the money around the world, not a way. The loan is not denominated in this crypto value.
But how do you get let's say, fiat into cryptocurrency that you need. There needs to be an exchange rate, and currently, I mean, we're always hearing it's actually not so expensive, but when you go to Coinbase, it is actually not cheap. So
We're taking into account 1%, 2% because of the coin and coming from pesos to crypto. But we think that's now the exchange is charged 1%. But we think at the moment the crypto economic grows, the exchange will lower the rates also.
you depend on the exchange, or you provide your own mechanism?
No,
No, it's an
it
external
depends
exchange now. Yes.
on the external exchange.
But then now you cannot exchange cryptocurrency into fiat so easily. First, you need to, let's say, token ABC. I want to sell it. First, I need to get Ethereum or Bitcoin, and then I go from Bitcoin or Ethereum into fiat, and the other way around.
Yes.
So in fact, there's more transactions and more transaction fees. There will be at least 4 or 5%.
Well, right now we will start with Ethers because we don't have still the mass, the critical mass of users. But once we get it for the ICO, our ethics will be listed on an exchange. So you won't need to get Ethers to get ethics.
And the other point is, normally how crowdlending platforms in practical way works is you put there €1,000 to test it. If you are happy, normally you are happy because you earn 7 to 8%. So you say, okay, part of my savings I will put in a crowdlending platform. No, this is already working, only locally, not globally. So you lend back your 1,000, and maybe you put more savings into this ecosystem. So it's not like every time you get your money back into euros. You receive your tokens and you lend it again. You receive your tokens and you lend it again. So you normally only the day you want to go out of the ecosystem, you transfer again into euro, francs, or your local currency.
Two questions. One, is the smart contract between the person who is investing using your token and an individual farmer, or is it with a pool of loans? A pool.
It's not of loans, but a collective loan. It's a pool of loans of projects, but every project is collective. We don't do individual loans.
Okay, so it's not an individual loan. That was.
But the register is individual, so we create this digital identity for
But that's one question. And then just a clarification. You make a loan, and you actually make it, you're paying with ethics, but the loan and the smart contract is based on Mexican pesos. And so the payment with, 10% or whatever is the interest rate, it's made in Mexican pesos, it goes through the ethics to be applied. Well, the Mexican pesos are used to buy ethics, which are used to pay the smart contract. Now, given the volatility of cryptocurrencies, I mean, it could be that it's a bad luck and ethics is, gone way up, and so what the farmer pays in is a very tiny amount buys a very tiny amount of ethics, but then when you go to sell it, there's a plunge, and the ethics isn't worth very much of anything, because it's a bit of a roller coaster, at least at the moment.
No, but you don't hold the cryptocurrency, it just goes from one currency to the other. So you won't hold crypto, it's just used to transfer. So
Yes.
always in fiat anyway.
We are not inviting you to speculate with ethics.
So when the farmer pays with the interest, it goes to the smart contract, and it's immediately put into the fiat currency.
No, that's if you want to convert into fiat currency. Keep in mind that the ratio. Yes. It's not that easy, but please keep in mind that the ethics is not a token to speculate. We are inviting you not to speculate with it. So,
But if you do, and that will happen.
well, part of the stability of our token is that we're having really a painful work of constructing our community because we have a hard cap of 100 ethers. We don't want anyone to have such a big share of them that can unbalance our system. As the bigger the community and the spreader the token is, the more stable it will be. So that's why we are avoiding big investors on the system. And regarding the volatility that we expect not to be as crazy as the crypto, which is subject to all global thing, it will be subject to the use within the platform. That's for starters. And then think, even if the price went up and down, imagine I have euros and I want to send you francs and I buy bitcoins. It doesn't matter if I have only 3 satoshis to buy the amount you need. The ratio between your fiat and the token, and my fiat and the token will be the same. Maybe I need in this moment 3 ethics to send the money from that. Only if you don't hold it, but you are doing all of our best. Of course. But there's another 20%. I was forgetting that one. Okay, the founders, we keep the 20% because the platform is not profit designed. And there's another 20% held to help balance these fluctuations. That's it.
Sorry, I think the last question,
Yes, as many as you want. That's why we're here.
So basically, if I understood correctly, I mean, what you said before, so you are basically selecting projects based on whatever risk metrics you have. And then as an investor, I can choose the projects in which I want to invest. Is that correct?
Yes.
The last answer you gave was, okay, I send money, that is spread into your all the projects you have, which seems to be a bit of a contradiction of what you said before. So what is due? So when I invest in a project, is my money going directly into that project, or is it spread directly into
No. You should let's say, maybe I didn't explain that very clearly. You would see different collectives, each one being a different project. Say 20, we talk about minimum 20 people in the collective, maximum 50. So you will choose different collectives asking for the projects, and they will be offering the rates they would pay for. Because we have something very interesting that calls a reverse auction. A reverse auction that is, imagine, and all this is a funding, a crowdfunding. You won't pay, say they are asking for 20,000 euros, the equivalent. You won't pay all that money. It's going to be like in tickets of 25 euros or different. You will disperse the risk investing in the different projects you choose to do so. But imagine with this rating of the reputation, of the repayment, that is reputation. Imagine you see, oh, this have 10 stars. I will put the money, all of the money, to this project, only me, because I want to get this 15%. But there's a time lock for closing the crowdfunding of 14 days, okay? So another person comes and says, oh, he put all the money. I want it because I know these people. All the times I lend it to them or I see the scoring, and I want to do it. I don't care if I get 10%. It's good enough for me because it's sure. It's so sure because they already repaid so many times. So I say, okay, 10%. So this is the reverse auction. Another one, and then the smart contract releases the money of the higher rate. So it will compose the best combination of rates offered by the investors to get a cheaper money to the lender. If you don't want to give less than that, you go and choose another one who is not in competition for lowering the rate.
So if a project doesn't get fully funded, then the money goes back, I assume, because...
Yes. That's crowdfunding. If within 14 days you don't reach at least 80% of the amount requested, all the money is released and goes back to the investors. I said 80% because the platform, if it reach 80%, the platform will provide with the rest 20% to make it work.
And based on our discussion earlier, I understand that the loans can be up to 1 year. I mean, and so do you monitor the borrowers during this time in any way or the other, or do you make sure that they spend the money what they are borrowing for? Because I know that for microfinance, the monitoring aspect is very important, and you know, the MFIs have their own networks on the ground, and they make sure that the borrowers actually spend it, what they should be spending it for, and they don't encounter any financial difficulties, and if they do, then they kind of help them along and try to manage any problems that come up.
There is a follow-up of the project, especially, okay, the first loans goes for harvest, which is only 3 months long. And that way we will measure the production capacity, how many kilos or tons of coffee they can produce. And in order, with that information, we would be able to make a longer loan. And the idea is to have all year full with different projects in different geographical areas to cover all year round. And we have also something interesting. The Universidad Autónoma de Madrid will conduct the measure of the social impact of the people. So we will have a control group not receiving the money, and a measure of the actual conditions of the borrowers, and to measure them later on. And this is a third party, I mean, it's a public university who's conducting this measure, because it's, we can be judge and part of it. So we're very proud of it. They're very interested into this.
We're working on, we're in contact with organizations to have external auditors, and to have, there's some projects also that are working in checking how to monitor for example, Alice, they are in contact with an international organization, I forgot the name now, to monitor the social spending of this, and it's in our interest also. The local node job is also to provide updates. We want to make sure and to document that everyone is, you know, that the money that you lend is going where it should.
Sorry. Do you, because you're dealing with commodities, do you plan as well to add as well part of the risk based on the price of the community, basically in terms of futures? Let's say, you know, the price of coffee.
Again,
saying that, do you plan to include in your model of the risk the price of the commodity you are basically protecting or investing? Let's say coffee or other things. If the price goes down or goes up, the revenues to the farmer would be very different. And so it's basically its ability to pay back would highly depend on the amount of money that he or she may generate. So do you include that? Do you include that into your modeling? Or
we haven't considered it yet, but since it's something that has growing, enormous potential of growing, we could incorporate third-party services, like the how do you call it, the warranty fund for exchange, this, I would say insurance for exchange risk. You will hire insurance service from third parties, for example, but on behalf of your profit, for example, for this. So since this project, let's say this is like the baseline of our action with the producers, but many different projects can divert from it, like maybe securing the commodities. I don't know, it's like endless possibilities. So we are starting with the part we control, and once it gets settled down and the hypothesis proof, we will keep moving on and making it more inclusive and making better, of course.
So there's a lot of buzz about the 2 billion unbanked people, and they need these loans, but I think part of the reason, or probably the biggest reason why they need these loans, is the fact that they are unbanked, so they cannot store wealth over time.
Now, with all the disruption coming into the financial world, I can imagine that very soon everyone will have a wallet and therefore still be unbanked, but will be able to store wealth. So how do you see the relevance of the project having into account that everyone will be able to store wealth in an Ethereum wallet, Bitcoin wallet, whatever wallet?
Wonderful. I think that's financial freedom. You don't have to be related to a bank. You will be related to your interactions with a community. I really believe that we are turning from capital being the base of economics to communities being the base of economics. It's an interaction between one person from one side of the world to another one without the intervention of the banks. And if you have access to wealth, call it whatever, call it ethers, ethics, whatever. That's freedom.
Gabriela, can we listen to Sunotu?
Yeah, as if everyone has a wallet, this is like the end goal of this, like that it will be easier for them to associate to to ask for loans. It will be easier to establish trust networks. So I do think that's not a bad thing in the future.
Yeah, but
Right now,
people will not need loans anymore if they can store wealth over time.
in all the world, at the same time.
A couple comments. I think one thing that you might want to consider is crop insurance, because you could give farmers the option to make a micropayment towards crop insurance as part of each one of their payments on the loan.
Which would write down next to it, I think. Yes.
No, but I mean, this is something that I've seen in some African projects, but based on mobile money like M-Pesa. And I think that just because you can save a few cents or a few dollars every month doesn't mean that you don't need loans anymore.
For sure. At the end, these people, the numbers made by the MasterCard Foundation is that they need in average nowadays like $800 per year of credits. But if this is the actual situation, but they can increase the productivity massively by using fertilizers, by diversifying their crops and also reducing the risk that way, by irrigating, making an irrigation system, by automatizing. So it will take years for them to stop asking for loans. And my long-term vision is that at the end, our aim should be to connect you as investor with Miguel so you buy the product. It's not only about credits, but at the end about you buying his coffee for you.
So what I suggest, because the time is going on, what I suggest that we continue just after with the drinks.
Yeah.
Let's applaud the ladies.